Sonny Curtis, the singer, songwriter, and guitarist whose fingerprints are etched deep into the DNA of American music, has passed away at the age of 88, leaving behind a legacy that spans rock and roll's earliest days to some of television's most enduring moments. Known for his time playing alongside Buddy Holly for fronting the Crickets, and for writing and performing the unforgettable Love Is All Around, the theme song for The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Curtis's life was a testament to the way music can capture the spirit of an era and carry it forward for generations to come. According to his daughter Sarah, who shared the heartbreaking news in a Facebook post, Curtis died on Friday after what she described as a sudden illness. The announcement sent ripples through the music world, where Curtis had been revered not just as a performer, but as one of the quiet architects of rock and roll songwriting. For those who grew up in the 1950s and 1960s, his music wasn't just background noise, it was part of the cultural fabric, a soundtrack for teenage rebellion, youthful hope, heartbreak, and the slow, stumbling discovery of identity. Curtis was born in Meadow, Texas, a place so small that it could be easy to overlook on a map, but it turned out to be fertile ground for music history. It was there that he began playing guitar as a boy, developing a passion for music that was as unstoppable as it was natural. By his teens, he had formed friendships with fellow West Texans who shared his obsession with the new sounds of rhythm and blues and country music that were starting to fuse into something raw and electric. Among those friends was Buddy Holly, whose friendship would change Curtis's life forever. In the mid-1950s, Curtis joined up with Holly and Jerry Allison, forming a musical bond that would lead him into the group that would later become known as the Crickets. Holly, Allison, Curtis, and bassist Joe B. Malden began shaping a sound that was lean, melodic, and irresistibly danceable, a sound that would become a template for countless rock bands to follow. Curtis played lead guitar on some of their early recordings, and though he stepped away from the group before Holly and the Crickets recorded their biggest hits, his connection to that formative moment in rock history remained unbroken. Then came the day that would go down in rock and roll lore. February 3rd, 1959. Known forever after as the day the music died, the plane crash that killed Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, J.P. the Big Bopper, Richardson, and pilot Roger Peterson was a tragedy that sent shockwaves through the music world. For Curtis, it wasn't just a cultural loss, it was personal. He had lost a close friend and collaborator, someone who shared the same musical dreams and ambitions. Rather than retreat into silence, Curtis did what songwriters do best. He put his feelings and his defiance into a song. That song was I Fought the Law. Written in 1958 and recorded with the Crickets after Holly's death, the song captured a spirit of rebelliousness that resonated with the restless youth of the 1960s. Though it was initially just another track in the band's catalog, I Fought the Law found a second life when the Bobby Fuller Four recorded their own version, turning it into a top 10 hit in 1966. With its unforgettable chorus, I fought the law, and the law won. The song became an anthem for misfits, rebels, and anyone who had ever felt at odds with authority. Over the years, it was covered by a remarkable array of artists, from The Clash to Green Day, Roy Orbison to Hank Williams Jr., and even punk provocateurs Dead Kennedys, ensuring its place as one of the most enduring songs in rock history. But Curtis wasn't just a one-hit writer. His songwriting catalog is filled with tunes that found their way into the hands and voices of other legendary artists. He penned Walk Right Back, which became a hit for the Everly Brothers in 1961, and More Than I Can Say, a heartfelt ballad that Leo Sayer revived nearly 2 decades later, turning it into a top 10 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. These songs showed Curtis's range as a songwriter, capable of writing not just rebellious anthems, but tender, emotional pieces that captured the universal language of love and longing. In 2012, after years of what many fans felt was an unjust oversight, Curtis was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Crickets. He joined drummer Jerry Allison, bassist Joe B. Malden, and rhythm guitarist Nikki Sullivan in finally receiving recognition for the group's pioneering contributions to rock music. Their absence from the Hall's inaugural class alongside Buddy Holly back in 1986 had long been a point of contention for rock historians, and Curtis's induction was seen as a long overdue moment of justice. Yet for all of his contributions to rock and roll, Curtis is perhaps best known by the wider public for a song that is about as far from rebellion as you can get, the optimistic, feel-good anthem Love Is All Around. Written and performed by Curtis in 1970, the song was chosen as the theme for The Mary Tyler Moore Show, one of the most beloved sitcoms of its time. Its opening lines, "Who can turn the world on with her smile?" perfectly captured the spirit of Mary Richards, the independent young woman played by Moore, who moves to Minneapolis to start a new chapter of her life. Curtis recalled in a 22 interview with Mo Rocca on CBS Sunday, mourning that he had been given a 4-page treatment of the show and was asked to write a theme song that reflected its premise. The treatment, he said, told the story of a young girl who gets jilted in this small community in the Midwest and moves to the big city in Minneapolis and gets a job at a news station and rents an apartment she has a hard time affording. From that simple premise, Curtis crafted a song that not only set the tone for the show, but also became an anthem for a generation of women who were stepping into independence and redefining their roles in society during the 1970s. The image of Mary Tyler Moore tossing her hat into the air at the end of the show's opening credits remains one of television's most iconic moments, and Curtis's song is forever intertwined with that visual. For many, hearing the opening notes of Love Is All Around is enough to bring back memories of watching the show, of the optimism and possibility it represented, and of a time when television was just beginning to explore the idea of women living fulfilling lives outside of traditional roles. Curtis's career, however, was never about just one moment or one song. Over the decades, he continued to write, record, and perform, embodying the idea of a working musician whose love for music never faded. He toured internationally, collaborated with artists across genres, and was often sought out for interviews and retrospectives about the early days of rock and roll. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Curtis managed to avoid the pitfalls that claimed so many early rock stars, living a relatively quiet life offstage while letting his work speak for itself. His passing marks the end of a remarkable era. With Curtis gone, the connection to Buddy Holly and the formative years of the Crickets feels a little more distant, a little more like history, and a little less like lived memory. Yet his music ensures that he will never truly be forgotten. Whether it's through the countless covers of I Fought the Law that continue to introduce new generations to his work, the warm nostalgia of hearing Love Is All Around, or the hauntingly beautiful melodies of his lesser-known songs, Curtis's influence continues to ripple outward. Fans, fellow musicians, and historians alike are taking time to reflect on what Sonny Curtis meant to music and to the culture at large. Social media has been filled with tributes, personal anecdotes, and clips of his performances, a digital chorus of gratitude for a man who helped give shape to the soundtrack of the 20th century. For those who knew him personally, the tributes are even more poignant, remembering not just the musician but the man, warm, kind, endlessly creative, and dedicated to his craft. As we look back on Sonny Curtis's extraordinary life, it becomes clear that he was more than just a participant in rock and roll history. He was one of its authors. He stood at the crossroads of country, rock, and pop music and managed to leave his mark on each of them. His songs told stories, captured moods, and often expressed feelings that listeners couldn't put into words themselves. That is perhaps the greatest gift a songwriter can give, and Curtis gave it over and over again.